Hello everyone, Rick Moreno from Moreno Real Estate Group. Our Wealth Talk episode is going to be focusing on money. You guessed it, the mistakes not to make to acquire more of this and have an easier lifestyle. All right, guys, the first money mistake to avoid in your 20s is not having a savings or emergency fund. Guys, check this out. 34% of all Americans, when surveyed, said that they don't have one single dollar in their savings account reserved for an emergency. And 35% have less than $1,000. So if you add that up, guys, that's 69% of all Americans do not have a minimum of $1,000 in case of a rainy day, in case of an emergency, or something that goes on with their life. 45% of actual Americans will have to use a credit card in order to cover that $1,000 emergency, which is crazy. People in their 20s look at money as a concept to get, to spend, and to enjoy. But they don't realize that there's a repercussion when they're in their 30s and 40s and 50s if you don't save appropriately. So not having a savings or an emergency fund, make sure that you guys get that squared away early. Guys, and one of my favorite tips for you guys to start piling your cash reserves is to open up an easy to use online banking account, and the best one out there in my opinion is ally.com. I recommend it to all of my agents, especially when they're establishing some cash savings once they receive commissions. So go to ally.com, www.ally.com. It's as easy as opening up an account, and then you press get started on the bank portion of it. And then from that moment on, I would click on savings, guys. Once again, this is short term. You want something liquid, you want something available within the next business day, which is what Ally does. They offer a decent interest rate for a savings account. Once again, you're not focusing on getting a 10 or 12% return, because that would be more of a long-term approach, or buying and investing in stocks. This is so that you could have savings for the short term. You're talking about paying down debt, or you're talking about saving for a down payment, or in case your car breaks down, anything of that magnitude. That's where I set up all my accounts for ally.com. The second money-making pit, if you are not careful, is very simple, and I'm going to blow your mind with this one. It has really not a lot to do with money. It has more to do with the person that you're with. Dating someone who is not responsible with money. In fact, this will set you back into your 30s if you're not careful. You know, let's come up with a crazy idea. I know most people in their 20s, they want to get in a relationship, and the idea of someone being attractive to them is the most important concept as to why they're dating that person. But let's kind of switch it. Why not date someone that you're attracted to, but also date someone that is like-minded like you when it comes to your financial aspirations and goals? That is going to save you a ton of money, because there's always one person in a relationship that is a huge spender and the other one may not be. You want to date someone that is of like kind with you, has similar aspirations when it comes to wealth building, and you got to start now in your 20s. So date someone who is like-kinded when it comes to your financial aspiration. And guys, to illustrate this, I'm going to actually bring in a unique biblical scripture, but I'm going to add a layer of financial analysis to it. So I'm not about to get religious, but I'm going to give you a perspective that I want you guys to understand of how important it is to date someone who is responsible with money instead of dating someone who is not responsible with money in their 20s. In your 30s, you have a different perspective though. Okay, so the 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14 says, "Therefore do not be unequally yoked with an unbeliever." But I'm going to add a layer of financial analysis. "Therefore do not be unequally yoked with someone who is not financially responsible." So let me dumb it down for you guys. A yoke is a wooden cross piece that farmers used to use back in the day to tie and harness two animals together so that they could have more energy, more mass, and that way they could plant and farm quicker and more effectively. Okay? Now the goal was for you to yoke or harness together two like-kinded animals. You're talking about an ox with an ox, a horse with a horse, a donkey with a donkey. It would not be wise for you guys to harness two animals or yoke two animals together that are not like-kind, meaning a donkey with an ox. One's going to go one way, the other one's going to go the other way. One's going to go in a circle, and the other one's going to go in a straight line. You get the point. So you want to be yoked or tied together with someone in their 20s who is financially on the same platform that you want to be on. Furthermore, guys, dating someone who in their 20s who is not financially responsible and doesn't have the same ideas as you will actually set you back into your 30s. I'll give you a quick little story. One of my good friends, Miss Osborne in New York City, when I was living in New York City, she was excited. She was 41 at the time. I was 20 something. She was excited when she told our friends in the group that she was going on a date. She hadn't been on a date for a long time. Keep in mind, this woman was financially responsible. So she went on this date, and we were so excited to hear what happened on this date for Miss Osborne. And we asked her, how was it? He's like, was he tall? She said, yes. Was he dark? Yes. Was he handsome? Yes. So he was tall, dark, and handsome. But then we asked, how did the date go? And she said it was miserable. I said, why? The second question I asked was, how's your credit? And I'm like, no, you didn't. You did not just ask this person on the first date how his credit was. And she says, I'm 41. I've already made my mistakes. I do not have time to mess around with someone who is not financially responsible. So she asked the credit question on the first date. I'm not asking for you guys to go ahead on the deep end and start doing that on your first date, but you guys could ask some probing questions to know if they are financially responsible, guys. It's super important. And last but not least, guys, if a person has bad credit in their 20s already when they're barely starting out on their financial walk, it really shows you how they view and handle money. And that's not a good thing either. All right, guys, and listen up to this one. Take your notes. Number 3 is important because you guys all in their 20s, I guarantee you guys are doing this right now. Number 3 is having dumb, but not only dumb, but having dumb and broke friends. You do not want to get caught up in that mess. Having dumb friends will set you back 10 years. Having dumb and broke friends will set you back for life, guys. Everyone has a dumb friend in their group. And if you don't know who that dumb friend is, it's probably you. So it's time to awaken from your slumber, guys. It's very important as to why I'm connecting this with your financial success in your 20s. Here's why. When you guys are in your 20s, everyone goes out and has fun, they party, they go travel, they try to do a lot of things with their friends. And there's always one or maybe 2 or maybe 3 people in the group who are always stingy and never want to fork out money when it comes time to pay the bill. And those are the people that you don't want to hang around with because they're broke. Right? Their mindset is always leeching off of your money. You don't want to do that. You want to hang yourself around people who are like kind as well. I keep repeating that term because it's very, very important when you're looking at how to establish wealth. Okay? So my tip when it comes to having dumb and broke friends is dump them. Okay? Dump them immediately. They're actually derailing you on your future path of success. And here's what I did. Here's my tip for you guys. When I was 25, 26 years old, I was living in New York City. And I had the opportunity to be blessed with an amazing mentor. He was 58 years old. 58 years old, guys. He was 30 some years older than me. And what I learned from him was super valuable, okay? He was dealing with different circles of influence. His money talks were different than my friends' talks at age 25. So that's why my tip for you guys is dump your younger friends and start hanging around people who are older, someone in their 30s, someone in their 40s, someone who's already been there, done that, and actually has already made their mistakes. A collection of their mistakes actually will provide you great mentorship and advice. They already know how to analyze Roths. They already know how to invest in real estate. They will tell you how to save. All those little bits and pieces are super important when you're analyzing how to achieve financial success. And it's best that you start getting mentored when you're in your 20s. So if you have dumb friends, it's time that you become smarter, or it's time that you leave those dumb and broke friends behind. And number 4, guys, ruining your credit score. This is tied to someone who may not be financially responsible with their money, but it is so important for you guys to protect your credit score. I tell my agents when they're in their 20s, your credit score is as important as your driver's license, guys, because though it's just a number, initially, when you're in your 20s, guys, when you're in your 20s, it's super important to have a great credit score because you do not have a lot of capital to acquire the products that you need to do, whether it be investments or real estate, a property. So later on in life, if you guys do a good job on all these different tips, you will get to a point like myself in my 30s that I don't really care about what my credit score is like because the credit score is super solid and now we're dealing with more capital. So I want to buy with capital instead of buying with my credit, okay? But early on, making sure that you don't ruin your credit score is amazingly important, guys. One of the tips that I would recommend for you guys to do is pay on time, pay early, and pay often. The reason why I say pay on time, pay early, and pay often, guys, if you pay early, you're actually going to be eliminating the interest, the daily interest that's being charged on your debt, in this case like a credit card or a loan. And if you're eliminating the daily interest, you're actually shortening the life of the loan, attacking more towards the principal payment. And it's simple, guys. You will get out of that debt much quicker, improve your credit score. That's my first tip. My second tip, guys, is consistently pay a specific account for a minimum of 6 months without a late payment. Write that down. A minimum of 6 months without a late payment. That will also help boost your credit score to the point of where you need it. My third tip under ruining your credit score, guys, is making sure that you are under what's called a 30% credit utilization rate. And I'm going to dumb it down for you. You guys have a $1,000 credit card balance. And let's say you guys owe $500. You are now at a 50% utilization rate. You actually want to be under that 30% threshold, okay? So in this example, if you have a $1,000 credit card, you want to make sure that your balance is below $300. That shows to creditors that you are financially responsible risk for them, thus it improves your credit score. So if you're going to charge something, make sure that you always pay it down to below that 30% threshold and you'll be fine. Simple math. If it's 2,000, then it's going to be 600. You guys get the point. Just make sure it's below 30%. And my last tip on protecting your credit score, number 4, would be making sure that you do not close an account that you've had for a long period of time. This is hard for when you're in your 20s. So let's say you're 23 and you've owned your first credit card when you were 20 and you have it paid off. Guys, keep it open because that's 3 years of credit history of on-time payments. That's going to also help your credit score. If you are actually going to close any credit account, make sure that you do it on the earlier accounts, the fresh accounts, okay? And number 5, guys, do not rack up student loan debt. The United States currently right now is sitting at over $1.53 trillion in student loan debt. That is crazy to know that this is just causing a huge mess, and it's going to actually set you back 5-10 years from now. When you actually finish your degree, you're going to be on the bottom end of the pay scale until you work your way up. So it's going to be nearly impossible for you to ever get traction in your financial success when you are dealing with student loan debt. Check this out, guys. The average student loan today is over $37,000. And if you really take things into perspective, guys, this is what you're looking at. A 20% down payment on an average $185,000 home, that's what you're looking at, your student loan debt. Or if you want to get a bigger home, you're talking about 10% down payment. That is $370,000 home. You're looking at a $37,000 payment. And that is the amount of your student loan. Or if you like the nice cars, you could buy a brand new Audi A4 for roughly around somewhere in the $35,000 to $40,000 range, or Tesla Model 3 as well. Think about it. A wedding will cost you around $35,000. A swimming pool will cost you around $34,000. Or to launch your own idea through a business would be roughly around $30,000. So your student loan debt that you're racking up an average of $37,000 is actually derailing you from doing one of these important aspects of your life, whether it be buying a home, buying a car, a wedding, the nice pool, or actually launching your own business. I'm going to actually ruffle a couple of feathers here. Ask yourself this question. What is it that you really want to do with your life? And if what you want to do with your life does not require a college degree, then I suggest don't go to college. I know that's crazy for someone who was so heavily involved in education, but I honestly believe that today's learning is completely in a different platform of what the school systems are teaching our kids today. I think now that you could pick up anything from Google, from the internet, from YouTube videos, and constant going to learning events and conferences, and of course, reading books. So if your specific job that you're looking for, career path that you're looking for, does not require a formal college degree in order for you to get entrance into that job field, I suggest that you rethink about going to college. Now I know some of you guys are going to get bent out of shape, especially right now. It's May and all these high school graduations are occurring and all these college graduations are occurring. But I want to just shed some light on this, guys. Unless you are in a specific field, that you're venturing into a specific field that requires a college degree. I'm talking about like the medical field. You have nurse practitioners, you have nurses, you have PAs, you have doctors, you have surgeons. I mean, all the beautiful assistants that you're talking about that really are a collection of individuals to help serve the medical community. Those people require a degree. Or if you're talking about attorneys. I mean, I want my attorneys to understand case law and be able to debate for me and understanding win a specific case. Or you're talking about the engineering field, civil engineers, chemical engineers. You're talking about all these different type of engineering fields. I believe that having a college degree is super necessary. But there's not many other fields outside of those major ones that I just mentioned. Oh, aside from education as well. Important for an educator to have his college degree. But there's not many other fields that require a college degree. In fact, guys, I'm going to give you some alarming statistics of what the major conglomerate companies are doing in America today and avoiding college degrees. One of the reasons, guys, where I really emphasize that you evaluate if college is really meant for you, if the big companies, you're talking about the mega companies in the world, Apple, Google, and Netflix are no longer requiring employees to have four-year degrees, and this actually is going to be spreading throughout all different types of industries as an industry norm. It's best that you evaluate what kind of degree plan that you're looking at. So if Apple, Google, and Netflix are no longer requiring employees to have four-year degrees, it's super important that you guys evaluate if a degree is even the right choice for you, especially considering that you're going to rack up loads of student loan debt. So my tip, guys, especially if you're going to be starting your own business, is really evaluate if college is necessary, number one, and if it is necessary just for that fulfillment, that's perfectly fine as well. Then start off on a cheaper track. Maybe go to the state university instead of the private university. At the end of the day, it's the learning that's the most important aspect. Or maybe even go your first 2 years in community college so that you can eliminate your debt. Or if you're thinking about not acquiring student debt at all, maybe pay for your classes cash, maybe 1, 2, or 3 courses at a time instead of going full-time 5 or 6 years. I would rather delay my degree acquisition, maybe 1, 2 years, but then walk out with my college degree with 0 debt. And number 6, guys, one of the biggest mistakes to make when you're in your 20s is waiting to invest. Out of all the things that you guys have going on your side in comparison to me that's 38 years old, is that you guys have time on your hands. Do you guys understand what I'm telling you? 20 years old, if you invest that for 40 years, you're gonna be drinking out of a margarita with a beautiful, beautiful sunset, and that's because you have time. The magic of compounding interest is your little angel on your side that you guys should take advantage of. And really guys, there's no magic formula. All I suggest is that you guys start now, that you guys start early, and that you guys start often and be consistent. And you may not have a lot of money early on, but later on in life, you guys are gonna start climbing on your income path, and sooner or later, you're gonna see that compound interest work its magic, okay? In fact, the money that you're investing now as a 20-year-old is gonna be the most important money of your life. Later on, guys, I'm gonna be actually focusing on this particular topic and teaching you what products I would recommend in my life where I've messed up on and where I've done very well on products to invest when you're in your 20s. Simple, easy to swallow content, okay? Moving right along, guys. Number 7, buying an expensive car. Do not buy an expensive car when you're in your 20s. Why would you do that? Why would you get into a $500, a $600 payment when you're in your 20 years old and your salary is not even remotely close to where you need to live a comfortable lifestyle? Now, I'll give you a little tip that my father gave me. He said, son, it's not about buying the expensive car. If you could afford the payment, great. But the problem is being able to afford the maintenance and the payment to an expensive car. Because if you have a BMW and that BMW breaks down or something's going on, in fact, a tune-up, an oil change, carburetor, transmission, those could be hundreds of dollars, and sometimes even thousands of dollars. And if you do not have your emergency fund, guess what? You're just gonna have a nice car that's not running effectively. So you don't wanna buy an expensive car. In fact, I would even take it a step further. Who are you trying to impress? Probably the whole entire world. But the reality is, guys, if there's any opportunity, if there's any a time for you to save and actually buy a crappy car cash, or have a small down payment on a car that really is not super expensive, is now. Because I'm not going to make fun of a 20-year-old that's driving a beat-up car. He's 20 years old. It's socially acceptable if he has a beat-up car. Now, if the person's 45 and he's living on his mom's couch, that's a different story. But you're in your 20s. Who are you trying to impress? So for those individuals who have really super nice cars and you know for a fact that you can't afford it so that you can live a comfortable lifestyle moving on 5 years and 10 years from now, you may want to rethink about buying an expensive car. You got to get to a point, guys, where you're comfortable within your own skin, that you don't give a rat's butt about what people are thinking on what you're driving, okay? I would rather have a crappy car, but funds towards a down payment of a house, or funds in my bank account. That's a lot more important. You will have time in your 30s and 40s if you do all these steps correctly to buy those nice toys. And number 8, guys, make sure you guys write this one down, is not buying real estate when you're in your 20s. And the reason why I kind of link it to waiting to invest, because both of these have a compounding effect. I bought my first property when I was 19, about to turn 20 in Southern California, and it was the best move I ever made. Not necessarily because of the money that I would make from that specific property, but more so because of the learning experience. The first time you ride a bike, you don't know how to ride a bike. Second time you become better, third time you become better. And any individual practice that you're doing, any industry, a surgeon becomes better after practice. Repetition, you're talking about systems. You know, Bruce Lee once said that, don't fear a person who knows 10,000 kicks, fear the person who knows one kick, but practices 10,000 times. Repetition. So for me, it's early, it's often, it's best that you start buying in real estate when you're in your 20s, because it gives you that buffer zone to make your mistakes. So by the time you're in your 30s, guys, you're going to be rocking and rolling. And better yet, guys, when you're in your 20s, you buy one property. You may not have a lot of money, but you buy one property, you sell it off, you learn how to refinance, you learn how to do a cash refi, you learn how to do a real estate line of credit, you learn how to buy a duplex, a triplex, develop passive income, and then all of a sudden you start seeing your rental income go through the roof, and it gives you time away from all that hectic lifestyle to enjoy what you really want to do, okay? So number 8 is making sure that you buy real estate. It doesn't have to be a lot of real estate, but making sure that you buy real estate while you're in your 20s. So there you have it, guys, the 8 mistakes to avoid when you are in your 20s. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or not. If you're a parent that has someone that's going to be coming up in their 20s, or you know someone, guys, share it to them, subscribe to the channel, make sure you press the like button. It lets the internet gods know that you like the content of this video, and I'll keep producing this over again, guys. But if you're in your 20s, guys, make sure that you follow these things that we talked about today that will get you on an amazing track to financial success. That's what I apply to my life. That's what's helping me in my personal walk right now. And I guarantee you it's going to help you as well. I'll see you guys in the next episode, guys.